To continue from the point where I left off in part 4. Now, it was usual for kings and not really kings, it is the British officers, highly placed British officers, to come and ask so many requests from the kingdoms of these princely states. And the people of those who ruled the princely states had no option except to accept. Whatever they asked for, they had to give. They cannot say that they cannot give, because these people were very powerful people. These military officers, highly placed military officers, were like lords or barons or people of very high society in India at that time. So there was this occasion when this man, a highly placed British officer, came to Pratibandhapuram in order to ask for an opportunity to hunt tigers in the kingdom of Pratibandhapuram. So, as usual, he wished to hunt tigers in Pratibandhapuram, but the Maharaja was firm in his resolve. Usually, the Tiger King used to let him hunt, but this time, no, he was not going to allow him to hunt. He was firm in his resolve. He refused permission. I can organize any other hunt. You may go on a boar hunt, you may conduct a mouse hunt, we are ready for a mosquito hunt. But tiger hunt, that is impossible. Now, if anybody were to get any ordinary prince were to give a British officer of this rank, the high ranks, an answer like that, it would be very dangerous for him to survive. So, what are the things that he offers? You may conduct a mouse hunt and mosquito hunt, but tiger hunt, that is impossible. The British officer's secretary sent word to the Maharaja through the Diwan that the Durai himself did not have to kill the tiger. The Maharaja could do the actual killing. What was important to the Durai was a photograph of himself holding the gun and standing over the tiger's carcass. As I told you before, this kind of British officer was a role model based on whom he had adopted the hobby of hunting. This Tiger King had adopted the hobby of hunting. And the purposes that he had was the same purpose that the King himself had. Actually, what he really wanted was to take photographs, and therefore he wouldn't allow somebody else to take a photograph poised on the tiger. It's not directly mentioned there, but it is implied. He could have allowed, but he didn't allow even that. Right? So, what is the problem now? He could have easily allowed the British officer to take the photograph while he himself shot. And the excuse given is very different. Look at that. The Maharaja could do the actual killing. That was what is important was to the Durai was a photograph of himself holding the gun and standing over the tiger's carcass. But the Maharaja wanted to do that for himself. But Maharaja would not agree even to this proposal. If he relented now, what he felt was we allowed him to hunt. What if he allowed him to take a photograph? And I think what he is referring to is if he allowed him to hunt, what would he do if other British officers turned up for tiger hunts? Other British officers would come for tiger hunts, and what he implies here is all of them wanted the same thing. It was a fashion among the British officers to pose as killers of maybe some tigers, and the actual hunting of the tiger was not important. The photograph was important. Because he prevented a British officer from fulfilling his desire, the Maharaja stood in danger of losing his kingdom itself. That is a very real danger. The Maharaja and the Diwan held deliberations over this issue. As a result, a telegram was dispatched forthwith to a famous British company of jewelers in Calcutta, probably the best available diamonds were to be procured uh, for this particular purpose. Send samples of expensive diamond rings of different designs. I need to explain one or two words before that. The Maharaja and the Diwan held a deliberations. That is, they discussed what should be done in this situation, because this is a real danger. There's going to be problem, and maybe the king himself may disappear, may die in an accident, or he may lose his kingdom. He may be put in jail. Anything could happen, because these were the British officers were the real lords, not the king. The king was just a prince. He was not even allowed to call himself a king. And a telegram was dispatched immediately, forthwith means immediately, to a famous British company of jewelers in Calcutta. Send samples of expensive diamond rings of different designs, was the order. Some 50 rings arrived, expensive, all of them expensive. The Maharaja sent a whole lot to the British officer's good lady. He probably believed in the Indian culture, that if you offer a plate full of something, people will take, out of politeness, they'll take one or two, not take the whole thing. But that is not going to happen. Some 50 rings arrived, and Maharaja sent the whole lot to the British officer's good lady. The king and the minister expected, the Divan is there for the minister, expected the Duraisani to choose one or two rings and sent the rest back. Within no time at all, the Duraisani sent a reply, "Thank you very much for your gifts." Because if you're gifting a king or a queen, you need to do it in royal style. Maybe that's what they thought, that the Duraisani thought, that this was a royal gift, and it meant that I should take the whole lot and not just one or two. In 2 days, a bill for 3 lakh rupees came from the British jewelers. The Maharaja was happy that though he had lost 3 lakh rupees, he had managed to retain his kingdom. What has actually happened is a big loss has been affected, and the king is not bothered about the loss. What he is worried about is, will he lose the kingdom? Because if he loses the kingdom, he cannot hunt again. He cannot do anything again. There's a possibility he may become a pauper, or he may land up in jail. At least he saved himself from that terrible loss. The country's loss is not such a great thing. It's only 3 lakhs. In those days, 3 lakhs was quite a lot of money. The Maharaja's tiger hunts continued to be highly successful. Within 10 years, maybe he started hunting when he was 20, 21, 22, something like that. And 10 years after that would make him around 31, 32 at the maximum. And within that time, he was able to kill 70 tigers. Each time they went into the forest, 5, 6 tigers were killed. And that was usual thing in those days. And then an unforeseen hurdle brought this mission of hunting 100 tigers to a standstill. The tiger population became extinct in the forests of Pratibandhapuram. Who knows what happened? What was the reason for this? Now he is not worried about the fact that there are no more tigers, because in those days, conservation of forests, conservation of wildlife was not such a big issue, and even even if it was a big issue, this particular Raja and all the the crown princes of all princely states were not educated upon it. They were only given a British education, which ensured that these kings were loyal to their to the British Empire. They would not develop leadership qualities. They would not be bothered about others. They would only be bothered about how they can enjoy life. They didn't have any purpose in life. They didn't have any ambition whatsoever, except maybe what was connected with whatever passion they had for sport of hunting, or maybe gambling, or maybe any other thing that is connected with pleasure. Uh, who knows whether the tiger practice, now this is the reflection that the king had. Who knows whether the tiger practiced birth control, some form of birth control, so that they did not give any birth to any more tigers, and that's why there were no more tigers. Or committed harakiri, or did they commit harakiri, which is a kind of suicide? Did they commit suicide? Or simply ran away from the state? Maybe they themselves didn't like the situation they were in of being killed by one particular man. They didn't like to be killed by him. Maybe it was a dishonor to be killed by him. And they ran away from the state because they desired to be shot by British hands alone. So it was not only, so he imagined, because it is the thought that is uppermost in his mind, so he thought that the animals thought the same way. That is, anything British, even being killed by a British man, is higher than being killed by an Indian. One day, the Maharaja sent for the Diwan, called the Diwan. Diwan Sahib, aren't you aware of the fact that 30 tigers still remain to be shot down by this gun of mine? He looked at him and he talked angrily. He asked, brandishing his gun. He took the gun and brandished, put it high above his head, and he said, "Do you know or not that still 30 more tigers need to be hunted down by this gun?" Shuddering at the sight of the gun, frightened that something bad is going to take place to him, the Diwan cried out, "Your Majesty, I am not a tiger." In other words, he screamed in fear, "I am not a tiger. Please don't shoot me." Something humorous, right? Which idiot would call you a tiger? Then the terror-stricken Diwan didn't know what to think. So probably jumped to the conclusion that if I am not to be shot, then I am the instrument that should be used instead of that gun to kill the rest of the 30 tigers. He said, "I am not a gun, Your Majesty. Please don't use me to hunt the tigers." "You are neither the tiger nor the gun. Diwan Sahib, I summoned you here, I called you here on a different purpose. I have decided." What did I decide? To get married. So, this poor fellow, the Diwan, was among the commoners, and he understood that the reason that you get married is either because you want to satisfy your lusts or you want to have children. He couldn't think of any other purpose. Or probably, maybe if he did ever think of any other purpose, it may be to get dowry, to get money. He couldn't guess at all why this king wanted to get married. He couldn't guess at all. So, so he jumped to the next obvious conclusion. The Divan began to babble even more, no? So he started, these were considered babbling, that is nonsensical statements. He began to babble even more. "Your Majesty, I have 2 wives already. Don't get married to me. Don't think of getting married to me. If I marry you, don't talk nonsense," says the king. "Why should I marry you? What I want is a tiger." Before he could complete the sentence, the Divan jumped to the next conclusion. "Your Majesty, please think it over. Your ancestors were married to the sword. If you like, marry the gun." Playing upon being married to the sword. Actually, being married to the sword means he's talking about the ancestors. He's saying your ancestors were all the time at war, and they were brilliant soldiers. They had huge conquests, and they defeated everyone who came in their path, and they liked the life of being warriors. They loved it so much so that they were considered to be married to the sword. And he says, "Okay, if you want, let's try the modern equivalent, which is being married to the gun. If you like, marry the gun. A tiger king is more than enough for this state." "You are a tiger king." Yes. That's more than enough. It doesn't need a tiger queen as well. So don't bring in the tiger as your queen. He thought that the king was about to marry the tiger and bring her, and in a way, she'll be tiger queen. Or tiger king and tiger queen. The Maharaja gave a loud crack of laughter. He at last saw the joke in the whole thing. He laughed out aloud. "I am not thinking of marrying either a tiger or a gun," he says, "but a girl from the ranks of human beings. I want to marry a girl. First, you may draw up statistics of tiger populations in the different natal states. First thing that you should do, first and foremost, make an estimate of what do you call the girls in the neighboring kingdom who are eligible to get married to kings, and in that kingdom, in each of those kingdoms, check how many tigers are there, right? So look at that. He wants to get married not for the sake of the girl, but for the sake of the tiger in the girl's kingdom. Number of tigers in the girl's kingdom. The Maharaja Junjun Bahadur. Okay, then what happened? Okay. Next, you may investigate if there is a girl I can marry in the royal family of a state where a large tiger with a large tiger population. The Divan followed his orders. He found the right girl from a state which possessed a large number of tigers. Maharaja Junjun Bahadur killed 5 or 6 tigers each time he visited his father-in-law. Marriage took place, and then each time he visited the father-in-law probably thought, "Oh my God, such a adorable son-in-law. He wants to visit me again and again." The real reason he visited was to go and kill tigers. 5 or 6 each time, as was his custom, as was the custom of all the tiger hunting princely kings. In this manner, 99 tiger skins adorned. You know what for? Why was he killing the tigers? Now you get the real reason why he's hunting the tigers. Not only for the photographs, he skinned those tigers, whichever were killed, and he hung the skins on the, very proudly proclaimed to all those people who visited his palace, "These are the tigers that I killed." Tiger skins adorned the walls of the reception hall in the Pratibandhapuram palace. Look at the state of the Tiger King.